So it's dinner time, and some people in the house aren't feeling good. So I'm thinking of doing two things. I've already started doing some of the recipe. One of it was going to be a chicken noodle soup, but I don't have chicken. And so I got inspired by my mother-in-law. She's from Ghana, like my husband. And she was like, why don't you make light soup? And so the recipe will be in the bottom, but I was like, yeah, I could do light soup. So this is what we're working with so far. We got our cherry tomatoes we put in there. I did already put carrots in there because I thought I was going to do chicken noodle soup, but that's a scratch now. We also have some ginger here, some onions, and all this is just, I was just sauteing this up a little bit. I'm going to take this with my garlic. This is a habanero pepper, just one. And then I also have one other Roma tomato. So I'm going to combine all this together. And that's going to be like the base of the light soup. And then we'll blend it up. And I'll show you all the other things I'll do to make it taste really yummy. But shout out to my mother-in-law for giving me inspiration on how to make some really yummy soup. And then the other thing I'm going to do, I already made another broth for a ramen dish I wanted to do for my daughter and myself. It's like a mushroom-based broth. So I want to show you both of those today. Okay, so here's our base. It's about half of an onion. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cloves of garlic. This is gonna be really good. Anti-inflammatory, so also add flavor, but it helps since he's not feeling that good. Actually, let me take the stem off. And then as soon as I do that, because this is a pepper and it's very hot, I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands.
Mom.
Yes, baby. Here's our tomato. That's the Roma tomato. And this is what I already had in the pot. So I'm just going to put all this in, blend it up, and then put it back into the pot. So traditionally, carrots are not a part of this, but his mom was telling me that sometimes she'll add like squash to it to help thicken it up. So I'm thinking that the carrots will probably end up being that, but this is kind of how it looks. Now, of course, we're going to add some broth to this once it's in the pot, but ooh, and the spice from the habanero pepper is getting to my eye. So if you don't like spicy, do not add the habanero pepper. Oh man, she told me to use a red habanero pepper. That thing is spicy. All right, so the pot's on low. I'm just gonna pour all this back into the pot. I'm gonna add some more water to get all this. So I use the water to get all the edges. And I'm gonna get that from the top too. And get all that flavor. So the ginger and garlic are twofold. They're going to add flavor and they're going to be anti-inflammatory, especially since my hubby's not feeling that good. My hubby's not feeling that good. Oh, pro tip, if you want to clean out your blender blades without having to wipe in there, add a little bit of soap and water and then blend it again and it'll get your blades clean. So the base part is already done. Now all we gotta do is add a little bit of stock. This is gonna thin out the soup and add more flavor. This is actually chicken stock. If you're fully plant-based, you can use veggie stock, or you could just use water and add your own flavor. I'm probably gonna add like half of this for now and see how thick it is. It's very, you know, you can make it whatever thickness or thinness level you want it to be. Thickness or thinness level. You can make it whatever consistency you want it to be. Your mom is gonna see this and be like, that's not like soup. Because I put the carrots in there to thicken it, right? But now I want it to look like how when my mother-in-law makes this, it's more red. Right now it's very orange from the carrot. So I'm gonna add a little bit more tomato paste. This will add more of a tomato vibe too, since I didn't have a lot of tomatoes to begin with. That's probably why it's more orange than red. So if you do this recipe, maybe not do the carrots. Again, that's not traditional at all. At all. That happened because I started off trying to do a different type of soup. And then I pivoted. And this is real life. I'm just adding this tomato paste in. Probably gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish all of it. I wish I had more. So I'm gonna add one more thing of the cherry tomatoes. Pinches of salt. I can always add some more tomatoes. Yeah, that's good. That's it. So I'm gonna just let it simmer some more, but it's not as red as it should be. So this is definitely not traditional. Again, I'll say that. But it's orange because I added carrots, which my husband told me I should not have done. Again, you know, this is real life. But it's got like a nice spice to it. Nice spice to it from the habanero pepper. And then you get the flavors from the ginger, from the garlic, also from the onions. And then the saltiness, a couple of pinches of salt, and then the stock that I use. So I'm gonna cover this and just let it kind of all come together even more with a little bit of time. You can eat at the table? So it looks like a tomato soup basically, but it's like a spicy, gingery, oniony, garlicky tomato soup. Like an American, that's the American way to explain it, I think. It wouldn't look this orange if it wasn't a carrot in there. Sorry, babe. Oh, you think it should be even lighter?
Well, it's fine.
So my husband said it basically looks like a tomato bisque, which that actually makes a lot of sense. He says it should be lighter. So anybody out there who knows about Ghanaian dishes, outside of my husband and my mother-in-law, let me know what you think. So I made me a little bowl like this. I'm gonna taste it for y'all. I'm gonna be honest, I already tasted it while I was cooking, and it tasted very gingery, garlicky, flavory, but I let it simmer for about 30 more minutes on the stove. So I'm gonna taste it now. I tasted tomato, but it's different from tomato soup in that the ginger and the garlic, it gets you right at the last bite, so there's like a level of spiciness to it. He was telling me I could add more liquid for it to be lighter, but I like it. It tastes good. This is definitely my version. Because it's not like how I remember his mom's tasting, but it was good. He said it made him hot when he had it, which is probably from the ginger and the garlic. So if you want to try it, the recipe will be in the caption. Now I got to get to this ramen. Okay, so we're gonna do the ramen now. So I actually already have the broth made. So one of the cool things that I've gotten a lot better at, especially as I'm on my personal chef journey, is making stuff ahead. So I made this broth yesterday for a chickpea mash, where I was trying to like incorporate a lot of flavor into the chickpeas, because chickpeas that are canned have this weird briny taste, and so I wanted to boil them in something that gave them a little bit more umami, so I used mushrooms. But then I saved that broth because I figured I would use it for something else, and then my daughter said she wanted ramen. So the broth, which is really the most time-consuming part, is already done. Now, if you don't have broth already, what I would recommend, really all you need is some type of stock. You can do veggie stock. If you have mushrooms, you can chop those up and put them in the water to let them kind of extract all that flavor. Even Trader Joe's, they have like a umami seasoning that's like a mushroom powder that's really good if you want something that's really quick. But for me, my broth is already done. So really this is like a 10-minute meal. And the hardest part, or the most time-consuming part, is going to be the prep. So really, all I'm gonna do for me and my daughter, chop up some more mushrooms to top the ramen with, and then chop up some scallions to have. I'm gonna saute just the white ends, and then this will be the garnish. The green ends will be the garnish, and then we'll go from there. So I'll let you see how that goes. Let's see. I don't need any of this. And I like using the scallions as like the base, just to add a little bit more flavor. I like to saute them up. They don't have as strong of an oniony flavor as like a yellow onion. But if you don't have scallions, you can do this with yellow onions too. You can also do it with shallots. That'd be really good because that tastes like onion and garlic at the same time. So this is going to be actually sauteed with my mushrooms. I'm going to put this over to the side. Here's going to be our garnish. I'm a big fan of using green any way I can to just add more pizzazz to the food, because we eat with our eyes, not just with our mouth and all that. So all the senses. Your nose is going to smell the good flavors. Your eyes are going to see the pretty colors. And your tongue is going to taste all the different flavors. The salty, sweet, sour, all that good stuff. I probably won't use all of this, but I just go ahead and cut it up now, and I can save what I don't need in one of my little deli containers. Actually, I'll show you. So usually I put all my prep in here. That way, whatever is not used, it can go easily into the refrigerator. And these are small. They make them like this size. I forget the official names. This size, and then there's a bigger one that's a little bit longer. Okay, so here's our scallions chopped up. I'm going to use all this, so I don't need to put that in anything. And then for the mushrooms, I know some people, I'm going to use all these mushrooms. So what I do, the wet paper towel, and I just wipe all the debris off of it. I don't like to rinse them in water because I find that they get soggy and it's harder to crisp them up, because we're going to crisp up these mushrooms. A lot of people don't like mushrooms because of the texture, I found. So I do it this way. I haven't had any complaints. My family likes it. I like it. But you do what works for you. And honestly, you know, you don't need, some people don't like to use this part. This would be great to use for stock to add more flavor. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just take out all the stems now. And I'll put them in this quart for stock, for another stock later. So that's the cool thing about cooking to me, is like finding ways to use different versions or all the parts of an ingredient in different ways. That's the fun part. All right, now I'll get back to washing or wiping. See, you get all that dirt. And it's easier once the stalk is off. Now we're just gonna cut up our mushrooms. Doesn't really matter how you cut them. I just want them really thin so they can crisp up easier in the pan. So our mushrooms, nice and thin. See, we're going for this thickness. See? So those are all done. So let's get to sauteing them now. Just gonna add the scallions right in. I'm gonna add these mushrooms. And then we're just gonna let them sit because that's gonna help them caramelize. It's almost like cooking a steak. You just want the skin of the mushroom to touch the cast iron so it can get nice and crispy. And then the key from there is to not stir it. Like, we're not sauteing, we're caramelizing the mushrooms so they can be nice and crispy. If you saute now, that's when your mushrooms tend to get more liquidy. And it's best to try not to. I kind of overcrowded the pan a little bit, which could cause some of it to instead kind of steam instead of caramelize, because you want to have some airspace for everybody to get some love. All right, so you can see that the mushrooms have like shrinked some because you're evaporating all the water off. And when you turn it, see that browning there? See, it's nice and brown where it used to be very light and pale. This one's a better one. See, that's what we want. We want it to be nice and brown and crispy edges. That's the caramelization. So I'm just gonna flip all of them, and then whatever doesn't flip, we can always do it the right way. Still, I'm not adding any salt yet because again, the salt will actually make more of the moisture come out. So we wanted to bring the moisture out by caramelizing it like this. The second side won't be as brown. The first side will be the more brown side. Don't be like me and put your hand in the pot. I got chef hands now. My fingers don't burn. Reminds me of my grandma. My grandma used to pick up this hot behind cast iron with her hand as a kid. And I'm looking at her like, how does that not hurt? It's something about being in the kitchen for longer. Your hand can just hold on to heat. Now while the mushrooms are finishing up, I'm going to go ahead and do the ramen broth and stew now. So this is our broth. Just pour all of it in. You can bring this to a boil, and once it's boiling, we're gonna add this ramen. I got this from Costco, and it's got millet and brown rice, so it's about 4 grams of protein for every half. So one whole one has 8 grams of protein per cake. See, 8 grams per cake. This is 1 cake. Now a serving size is half of this. Apparently that's not happening. My daughter will eat this whole thing, so we'll wait for it to boil and then we'll put this in there. Okay, mushrooms are exactly where we want them. Now I'm gonna add some salt. And just a little bit of garlic powder. We're going to stir it up. There we are. Those are our crispy mushrooms with scallions. Don't that look good? Can you see? Go. Where are you? Mushrooms are done. As you can see, they look beautiful. Remember, this is going to be the topping to the ramen. Water is boiling right now, so this is the time where I can start straightening up the kitchen, cleaning up, so that way when it's time to eat, I'm not thinking about, oh man, I gotta clean up. That's the same thing I do when I'm cooking for clients. I'm always timing, all right, during a dead time or a time where I'm waiting for something to happen, that's when I can clean. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean now. And I'm just using my fork because eventually I gotta break the noodle. Not break it, but help separate it. It's still pretty much a block right now. So just gotta give it a little bit more time. So now I'll go ahead and put these in the bowl. There are sauteed mushrooms right there. A little bit right here. Some of the scallions. And we're gonna put our broth along the edges like this. A little bit of spice. If you had some chili crisps, that'd be great, but all I have is these red pepper flakes. Just a couple on top.
Mom.
Hold on, sweetie pie. And then just a drizzle of sesame oil on the top. And there you have it. Don't that look good? I had to put it in the light so you could really get the action of the visuals. Okay, it's time to get into it. Great. Hope you liked it. See you guys in the next video.